Welcome to Momentous. I am Pastor Rebecca Great, the pastor mission developer for Momentous and the host for our weekly podcast. At Momentous, we believe that God is present with us in each and every single one of our moments. We believe that our stories are connected to God's story and to one another's stories. We believe that this connection and relationship changes our lives and our entire world. Now, before we begin, I invite you to take a deep breath in, hold it while you count to 3, and then slowly release that breath. Over the summer, we have spent our entire time at Sabbath Stops, at times designed for sacred rest, to reconnect with God and with those around us and with creation. Now, summer is a season where almost all of our schedules completely shifted from what they are during the school year. And now, many within our communities are getting ready to return to school as students or teachers or support staff or administrators. We still have a few Sabbath stops left, so grab a snack, grab some water to drink, stretch, and take another deep breath. In our last podcast, I shared 4 different options for how to find Sabbath stops in the midst of your new school day routines. Every one of them focuses on reconnecting and blessing. Some of them are very quick, and one of them can take as long as you all have time for over a shared meal together. Now, you can go back to last week's episode, which is titled New School, New Schedule, New Sabbath Stops. And you can listen to those 4 offerings. Or if you prefer a visual reminder of those 4 things, I have linked graphics with the steps outlined in the transcript for this episode on our website. And you can find those same graphics on our social media platforms as well. Now, one of the ideas I shared for a Sabbath stop was around a shared meal together, using a particular model called Faith 5. One of the steps in that model involves reading a Bible story or a verse and listening together as a group for what God might be calling us to do about things happening in our days. Not everyone who listens to our podcast is really well versed in knowing Bible verses or stories to pull for various situations. So I promised that this week would have a resource for all of you to help with picking some of the easier to approach verses and stories to use during your Sabbath stops during this school year. And that resource is linked in the transcript for this episode on our website, and it will also show up on our social media platforms later today. And you can use this resource however you want. You can start your Sabbath stops by not using the resource and inviting everyone around the table to share their favorite verses and stories before you get to the ones that are listed in the resource. You can start with the verses in the resource before you start with the stories, or you can start with the stories in the resource before you get to the verses. You can go through them in the exact order that they are presented, or you can just jump around with which ones sound the most intriguing for whichever day it is. It really is just something to help you feel like you have some guidance in where to start or where to continue in reading the Bible and growing in your faith together. Now, this resource and the ideas for Sabbath stops aren't limited to being used by families who have school-age children. Friends can get together and use this resource and go through the steps I shared in last week's episode. Extended families or families with students in college can use these things while they FaceTime or while they're on the phone together. Bible studies that gather at already existing congregations can use them. You can use them in the car as you commute, or while you wait in line somewhere, or while you are on a walk exploring your neighborhood. The options really are limitless. So if you do end up using this resource or those ideas for Sabbath stops during your school days, I want you to let us know. You can send us an email or send us a direct message on our social media platforms. And when we get those, we will share your ideas on our platforms to help spark some creativity with others in our community. And in that way, we are all going to help one another grow in our faith together. Now, for our prayers this week, we have 4 short prayers for different groups of people heading back to school. And the first prayer is for all of our students, no matter what grade you are in. God of learning and growing, help us learn about the world you have made. Give us patience when learning is hard, and remind us you are always with us. Amen. The next prayer is for our teachers. God, our teacher, remind us of the grace you have already given to us as we embody that for our students and with our coworkers this year. Grant us creativity and hope as we work with ever-changing policies and standards. Be near to us every day. Amen. The next prayer is for all of our support staff in our schools. God, who sees the needs of all, just like so much of your work is unseen, so is ours. Grant us patience and resourcefulness as we tend the needs of all within our schools to give them the support they need to succeed. Amen. And the last is for all of our administrators. God, our leader, guide our decisions and care for our staff and students. Help us listen and problem solve with compassion, holding the best needs of the most vulnerable in our care close to our hearts. Amen. Thank you for joining us for our weekly Moment to Us. We are looking forward to growing with each of you and are so grateful you are already a part of the momentous community. We want to say thank you to our mission partners, the Southern Ohio Synod and the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America. Their financial contributions and prayer have been instrumental in bringing Momentous into existence. If you want to support the ministry of Momentous, engaging with us online is one way you can do that. If you're able to give financially, you can visit our website and use the donate link there. Each one-time and recurring gift combines together to ensure our community continues to grow. However you are engaging with or discerning partnering with us, we hope that it means you are growing in your faith and noticing God's presence with you. Until our next podcast, remember to breathe deeply and that God is present with you every single moment.